Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hat Man.
And again, we have an overflood. And we also are going to be doing this in a two-parter because we had to get some of this recorded right out of the gate. Some of this we had to get done at other points in time. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Hatman, what are we starting with? Politics or entertainment?
Oh, hell, where did my coin flipper go? You know what, actually. All right. Heads, it's entertainment. Tails, it's politics.
Yes.
Tails, it's politics. Okay. Thank you, Google, for the coin flipper.
There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and start with one that Talon Silverbean gave us via the Discord server. He said, "What do you do when there is an evil you cannot defeat by just means? Do you stain your hands with evil to destroy evil, or do you remain steadfast and righteous even if it means surrendering to evil?" Well, I have yet to see a situation where evil has not been able to be defeated by just means. But I think that part of it comes from how one would define just. Some people consider war an unjust action. Well, I think that's nonsense. You know, there have obviously been just wars. There have been unjust ones as well, but there have been a lot of just ones. And I think that the instant that you start to sully your hands by thinking that there is no just way to defeat someone, I've always been of the opinion you haven't thought hard enough yet. Mm-hmm. Because if it comes to the point where they're going to destroy you, well, that's where your right to defend yourself comes in. But I continue to emphasize, people, we are not defenseless. Hatman, what are your thoughts on that?
That's the thing. It's the great moral dilemma of the time. Will he who fights monsters become a monster? Mm-hmm. It depends on whether or not you believe the end justifies the means, I would say. But I suppose in a sort of twisted way, we have to think more about which would be more unjust. Would inaction, sticking to the moral high ground be injustice if it means that evil thrives? As the old saying goes, the only thing that allows evil to prosper is for good men to do nothing. Mm-hmm. So, where do you stand on that? And honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's something that I'm writing about, actually. That's the whole point of, what I'm writing. Is it worth it to do things for the greater good when you basically become a villain? But I don't have an answer. I don't. Sorry to let you down.
I think that just at the end of the day, I don't know, I say that a lot. That's why there's a drinking game. There is a necessity to safeguard your own soul against evil. And one thing that you constantly see is, like, especially among the right, is you see a lot of people who came across as principled 2-3 years ago, thought that you had to fight dirty to win, and then now they have become... They've sort of been washed by the wayside and aren't really relevant anymore. And I think that's part of it, is because I think that people like principled people who stick to their guns. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that probably the biggest growths that I have seen on this channel and my main channel have been whenever I put my foot down on something. Like, people seem to respect that a lot more than as opposed to somebody who just kowtows to, constant pressures, because we've had people who are like alt-righters come in and troll and try to get me to use leftist tactics or buy into conspiracy theories. I put my foot down. I told them to fuck off.
Or, people who wanted us to condone violence, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Which will never happen. All right, let's go ahead and hit what we had from the chat. So the Autist Whisperer wants to know thoughts on the Illinois shooting and the media jumping the gun by assuming the race of the shooter. This is why you have to wait for the facts. So we have another fuckface. There is only fuckface. They're no different than any other fuckface.
Nope.
There is simply fuckface. And fuckface slid through the cracks of the system because Illinois has an inordinate amount of gun laws and no real way to enforce them. Because this is a blue state dominated by Chicago, they will pass stupid laws constantly. He fell through the cracks of the system, and he should have never had a weapon at all, but he did, and he killed people. So, but I think that it's typical of the media, and Hatman and I have even confessed this before, is that there's that little part of your brain that wants its confirmation bias. There have been right-wing people that I have known that it's like, whenever there's a shooter, the first thing they'll say is like, oh, I bet it's some guy named Ahmed.
Mm-hmm.
Or, people on the left want it to be a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even read that much into it. I don't know what the identity of fuckface was. I don't really care what the identity of fuckface was, for he is only fuckface.
Yeah, I didn't either. I saw that there was a shooting. I said, fuck it. I don't care.
Yeah, fuckface.
And it might be callous of me to say I don't care when
we don't care about the shooter.
Happened.
We care about the people who were victims.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Like I didn't want to follow any of the story because to me at this point, anytime there is a mass shooting at all, there is a mass of people tripping over themselves to try and politicize it in some way.
Yeah.
And I just don't I don't care anymore. I've stopped giving a shit about it.
What I try to do is I try to see where it happened and who the victims were, for at least to see maybe there's a charity I can give to or something, or well, in this case, it's Aurora, so I wanted to see if any of the names looked familiar, and I because I might have somebody I know up in the Chicago area that might know them. No such luck in this case, because I would have asked if there's something I could do to help with like funeral expenses or something. But that's the sort of thing I look for, and that's one thing that I would encourage people to do, is to look for ways to help that community heal, not look for ways to politicize tragedy, because it's what it is. And the thing about tragedy is it strikes out of nowhere. You can't predict it, and oftentimes you can't prevent it. It wouldn't be tragic if it wasn't that way. So that would be my thing. So is just do that instead. Because the more politics you inject into the situation, the more it sucks. I have yet to find the one thing that in this world that has been improved by politics. In short, politics suck.
Politics suck.
So, all right. Chris Jones wants to know thoughts on the Senate Intelligence Committee finally killing the Russia-Trump conspiracy theory. Well, it's not completely dead in the eyes of the left. They're always going to wait for the Mueller report, but everything that we're hearing is that it's going to be a big bust. That people are going to see it, and it's basically going to be that they found some people that Trump had done dealings with that were corrupt. They couldn't do anything to tie him to Russia or to Vladimir Putin or anything like that, and it's going to be a big letdown for the left. And it's going to be exactly what everybody can predicted it would be, is that he's a guy who did business in New York, and some of the people he did business with were kind of shady, but he himself stayed away from the shady parts of it and is clean as a whistle, which is entirely possible for people to do in business, trust me.
It's never going to end. I'll just say it right now. The whole Trump-Russia thing is just, it's not going to end. Because it's the only way to save Hillary Clinton and, by extension, the Democratic Party's ego after the loss that was 2016.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, they cannot, for a moment, think, maybe we fucked up.
Well, and that's the thing is it goes back to confirmation bias again. Like, I remember we had, like, in the early days of this, we had, not that we've been doing it that long, but we had a guy in the audience who isn't part of the audience now that constantly would talk about the Iraq War whenever it got brought up and act like, you know, Saddam Hussein didn't do anything wrong. And I would constantly bring up the Al-Anfal massacre and the gassing of the Kurds. And in regards to, like, evidence that we knew he had weapons of mass destruction, at least at some point. And he would ignore me completely. He would ignore evidence, what we already knew, just to confirm his own biases. And I think that that's wrong. It's morally wrong. You know, you can still be anti-war and still take in the facts. We talked about that with the whole Syria debacle. Is even given everything that happened, we were still opposed to getting involved in it, because at the end of the day, it was a proxy war. If we got into it, it was only going to get worse. It's almost like you can use logic and reason.
Almost.
Yeah, but yeah, some people, they will hear facts, and they won't listen to them because they have their preconceived notions. They are very emotional on the subject, and they don't want to listen. And this is one of those things. There are people that will never. Robert Mueller could stare them right in the face and say, Donald Trump is not involved with the Russians. And they'd still ignore him. Oh,
yeah. Oh, somebody just posted the perfect fucking thing on Twitter. Don't remember who it was, of course. It was like, you know, before the Mueller report, you know, here's why the Mueller report is going to be the biggest thing ever. After the Mueller report, here's why the Mueller report doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It will probably be on the New York Times or even at least like Gawker. So.
God. One of the old Gawker networks. Yeah, I don't want to think about Gawker. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
All right. Brian Gilmartin wants to know, where does the hatred of Christianity come from? Is it because the original Christians were Jews, or was there more to it? There's more to it. I think that inevitably hatred of Christianity comes from the very simple fact that Christianity was, and will always be counterculture in one way or another. And there's a reason that Christ said things like, narrow is the road, and all men will hate you because of me, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. Because no matter where you go, Christianity and its beliefs will step on someone's toes. You have a guy who really loves his wealth, and he seems to be self-obsessed with his wealth even though he's earned it. Well, what does God say about greed? You know, what did he ask the rich man? What did Christ ask the rich man? Sell all your things and come follow me. What rich man would ever do that?
It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle.
You know, poor guy who hates the rich. Blessed are the meek. You know, things like that. There's a lot of things in there that it asks of people that are hard to follow, especially if there are certain things in life that are going right, but you're not going about them the right way. You know, there's a lot of sins, a lot of them, and because of that, you know, there's always going to be conflict for people. You know, I mean, I would prefer for society to be more libertarian, you know, in a lot of ways, with what is legal. And even then, excessive drug use of prostitution, things like that, sins. You know? So yeah, that's basically what it is as a worldview, it stands opposed to a lot of things in our society. And the things that it asks you to do something that is very difficult, and that's sacrifice. I mean, you think of the people who adhere to the gospel. I mean, I was talking with a friend of mine about the fact that I've known several women that have waited until they were married to have sex for the first time. And he hears that and he goes, I couldn't do it. You know? And it's hard. That's very hard, especially in this day and age, where everything is sexualized. So, the discipline that it asks for is hard, among other things. You have to face hard realities to be a Christian. You have to face them every day. Some people just are not willing to do it. I'm not saying that they can't, because I've seen people do it. They're not willing to do it. So, that's generally where it is. And you'll see that quite often. In my favorite example of even pre-Christianity, for when Nathan, who was a prophet at the time of King David, walked into his throne room, told him a parable, and then pointed his hand at him and said, "You're guilty of this." Like, you had a man killed, for better or worse. So you put him in a dangerous situation where it was pretty obvious he would be killed. And he did it for you regardless because he was a loyal soldier. And then you stole his wife. You're a douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, think about that for a second. Could you imagine somebody walking into Donald Trump's office and saying that to him? But that's what the scripture would call for. Because it applies to all of us. And that's not easy for people to swallow. At all. Not unless they've grown up with it. I mean, God, there are still points to this day that I just get humbled by anytime I read certain scriptures. And it just hits me right here. It's like, this is what I got to work on next. And some people just can't take it. All right, Kale Bach wants to know, out of the three worldviews in history, theism, agnosticism, and atheism, which one has the most blood on their hands? Well, it would, if you're counting communism as an atheistic philosophy, it would be atheism.
Mm-hmm.
But some people try to separate atheism from communism. Can't do it. Not all atheists are communists, but all communists are atheists. So,
abolition of all hierarchies. Remember that.
That includes deity. If you say you're a Christian and a communist, you're lying. You're either one or the other.
If you're a Muslim communist, then good God.
Yeah, that... woof. All right. Encel Mafioso wants to know, thoughts on Crowder's dog being diagnosed with cancer. That was a heartbreaking video to watch. So, prayers to Steven and his dog.
Yeah.
That's never easy to go through. I mean, a loss of your pet. I've had two. Of all the pets I've had in my life, I've had two die while I own them. And those are like the worst days of my life. Outside of like my fucking divorce.
Yeah.
One was coupled with my divorce. And that's... Because of that sort of stuff is why I still pray to learn how to forgive. I still haven't forgiven that one. It's hard, man. It's not easy. So yeah, we're gonna be praying for Steven. That's very hard to go through. And then our final politics question, Gangrel wants to know, what's our opinions on Jimmy Swaggart? Who dat?
To the Google.
Yes. Hatman and I have black belts in Google Foo. Oh, he's a preacher.
Ah, Pentecostal evangelist.
Oh. Televangelist.
Yeah. By default.
Sex scandals with prostitutes in the late 80s, early 90s led to the Assemblies of God defrocking him. So, kind of deserve that one. That's really all I can see here.
Yes, by default, I am distrustful of televangelists.
Same here. The life of a preacher is intended to be humble.
Yes.
You know, I grew up in a humble household because my dad lived and still lives very humble. But it's part of the reasons to why my dad is so good at what he does.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of my closest friends, you know, just about every preacher I've ever known, or minister in general, has fallen to piety.
Mm-hmm.
It is the destroyer of all ministers. And I constantly tell them, never become pious. It will destroy you. The instant you become the Pharisee, God will strike you down.
Mm-hmm.
So, and see, he seems to me like he's just another example of it. Though I'm of the opinion when you hit a scandal like that, you shouldn't lead a congregation anymore. You can't be trusted with it. You should move on to do something else. And maybe if people forgive you, there's another role within the body of the church that you can take up. But that's one you're not fit to lead. Not in that manner.
Mm-mm.
Anything to add on that one, Hatman?
Not really. Not really.
All right. Let's move on then to entertainment before we inevitably record another part of this, where we'll probably be wearing different clothing because it'll be on a different day. But we promised an overflood, so that's what you're getting.
It's just 2 parts.
Yes.
You get some calm between the storms.
Exactly. So, for entertainment, Melee Brawler 64 wants to know, with the recent news that Activision Blizzard fired 8% of its workforce, in spite of its recent economic success, what are our thoughts on game developers unionizing? Well, I don't have a problem with private sectors creating unions. The problem is that these companies all compete with one another, and the instant they try to unionize, these companies are going to fire everyone and get fresh faces.
Yep. Also, in regards to that was a record sales number. That was not profit.
Mm-hmm.
That was not, that was just gross income.
Yeah.
So
gross income does not equal profit.
Yeah. So the idea that they made record profits and they all of a sudden fired people.
Not quite the case.
Hold on now. But no, yeah, I think a game industry union is a bad idea, especially because games journalists want in on that too.
Mm-hmm.
And no, hell no, did we learn nothing from Gamergate?
Exactly.
Do not yoke the two.
No, absolutely not. So no, that would be a terrible idea, and the production companies know that. Mm-hmm. They'll never let it happen. They'll never agree to it. Another thing, if you create a union, it's got to be agreed upon.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the producer would be like, no, fuck that. And the, yeah, and with economic success, one thing to remember is that profit margin is what matters most whenever it comes to it being a banner year. Mm-hmm. Because most corporations, believe it or not, usually run well. A good year, meaning a year that you're stable, is 2 to 3% profit. It's not much. It's because a lot of money that comes in immediately gets spent. And that's true of every fucking business you will ever see.
Yep.
So if you can get above 3%, you're doing great. So there's a possibility that they did have record sales, but they also might have had record expenditures. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, then the profit margin's not going to be that big. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't really understand that. They see like 200 billion sold. Well, what if they spent 199 billion?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, think about it like this: they're developing 2 Diablo games right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just on the Blizzard end. Overwatch Pro League is a huge fucking deal that they're pouring a whole bunch of fucking resources into.
Yeah, and keep in mind that they've got games like Call of Duty Black Ops 4 that are being constantly patched and updated and worked on, and new content being added. Well, that takes man hours, and it's not like you're selling new copies of the game every time you do that.
Mm-hmm. Think about it like this too. Call of Duty is not the juggernaut that it used to be.
It's still a big game.
It is, but it's not constantly breaking sales records year after year after year.
Yeah.
And they recently, as far as I understand it, they recently introduced loot boxes into the game on top of the, like, I think it's $60 now, map pack pass or whatever the
There's
hell.
a $60 season pass that unlocks everything.
Season pass, there you go. Yeah.
All future maps for all game modes plus, which is like all their game modes in the most recent game are actually pretty big, and all cosmetic upgrades, and there's a ton of costumes. So, but you can basically go without it, and then they've got you can just buy things individually and
Yeah,
just
you got the fucking red dot sites and what?
Well, I don't know if that ever went through.
The red dot sites?
Did it go through? I don't remember.
Fairly certain that it did.
But yeah, even then, it's like there's a lot to buy if you want to just buy it. So, but even then, that doesn't necessarily translate to instant cash, as EA found out.
Yep, it went through.
Ah, okay. So, whenever I watch that game be played, most people I know are just playing the Battle Royale mode. Blackout, I think it's what it's called. Yeah, Blackout.
I wouldn't know. I don't pay attention to Battle Royale. It's a fad. Battle Royale is the same thing that fucking MOBAs were years ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a fad.
In probably about 5 years, it probably won't be a thing anymore.
Mm-mm.
Though I will admit it is an interesting concept.
What'll probably be the fad 5 years from now will be something like MAG. Like the massive fucking FPSs, and you're organized into your teams and whatnot. And
yeah,
that'll be the big fucking thing.
Probably. All right, let's keep going. All right, Chris wants to know: did we get the chance to read the new Conan the Barbarian comic that debuted this year? Nope, not yet. Haven't heard anything about it really. Haven't really been reading many comics. Been working on my own. So.
Nothing.
Talon Silverbean wants to know: what is it going to take for the Vic Mignogna situation to be seen for what it is? On Twitter, I've barely seen any coverage of it, and apparently any attempt to bring to light what the case against him results in bans and demonizing. Well, it's been going in phases. So the first phase was what I call the PR phase. Was basically people on YouTube supporting him, because you think of it like there's much bigger guys than me, and then you've got myself, a smaller channel, and Yellow Flash and a couple others talking about the situation. And then on Twitter is where the Funimation people had all their support. And because much as YouTube doesn't want to admit it, because like everything else, this got politicized, YouTube is starting to lean right, at least in its audience, which is shocking to me. But
why do you think left tube is a thing?
But but then the instant that it came out that Vic was seeking legal representation and that there were crowdfundings to help him, everybody got quiet on Twitter. Because it's like, oh shit, this is actually going to happen. We thought we could just destroy this guy. And now they're going to reap the fucking whirlwind. And that's phase 2, is the lawsuits. There will be discovery lawsuits filed. There will be civil lawsuits filed in regards to defamation of character, tertious interference, things along those lines. And we are going to see Funimation likely get sued. We will see Rooster Teeth likely get sued. And there will probably be public figures that get sued too. I don't know if any voice actors. I don't know if there's any voice actors that will be. My money would be Mars Girl, because she is a public figure on YouTube, will probably get sued.
It's possible that he could also sue for intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Yes, there's that too. So, needless to say, he's got a lot of ammunition. And there's a lot of baseless accusations with no evidence that have been presented. Plus, people in public Facebook groups acting like they were going to purposefully malign him. Like this sort of shit you presented in a courtroom, it's very damning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And this is a, when it comes to both, inevitably the philosophy of what we would now consider right-wing, because the Overton window has shifted, of justice, of actual justice, of, you know, the necessity of evidence and things like that against social justice. The rubber is meeting the road, and the social justice side are wondering why there's a bunch of sparks coming up. Well, it's because you got no fucking rubber.
Mm-hmm.
And you're grinding up against reality. And its reality is that this can go to court, and you can lose. Mm-hmm. And all of your postmodernism isn't going to fucking save you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Leonardo, but yeah, this is the sort of thing that it takes, is somebody fighting back. But then again, we are not defenseless.
No.
We have the methods to fight back. Our boy Zach is fighting back against Mark Waid. And in a sense, fighting back against the comic book industry. And it's a fight worth having. Vic Mignogna is fighting back against the dubbing industry, as I'll call it. And it's a fight worth having. And there's going to be more. But at the end of the day, this kind of goes into what Talon originally asked us. These guys are fighting back, and they're fighting back honorably. Mm-hmm. And people are resonating with that. There's a reason that when good men do good things, even in the face of great evil, they get support. Mm-hmm. It's because there's all these people who can't fight like they do, for whatever reason, but want to see someone fight, want to see somebody who has the balls, the testicular fortitude to get up and fight back. They want to support that guy. And they'll do everything you can. Lend me your energy. It's a spirit bomb, basically. So, and now we have found the title for this episode. Spirit Bomb.
Let's Spirit Bomb. Why not? Why the hell not?
And Leonardo Juan has a question that ties into that. Thoughts on Kiss Anime standing with Vic and going to war with Funimation?
Ooh.
Well, they're an illegal streaming site, so I don't know how well that's going to go. But it doesn't.
Still,
it doesn't surprise me. That's how a lot of anime fans don't like Funimation's business model. You know, people have been talking about it for years, that they don't like their business model. They don't like the fact that they've been injecting American politics into dubs. Mm-hmm. You know, like stuff like that. It's just like dropping Gamergate in a fucking waifu bait show.
What the fuck even was that?
I don't even know.
Well,
it's like, I remember somebody just telling me when I asked about it, like, dude, this show's about titties and S&M. And I'm like, what does Gamergate have to do with anything? You know, and then there was the fucking Dragon Maids.
Yeah, patriarchy in Dragon Maids.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You're in Japan.
You're a dragon. How do you even know what patriarchy is?
Yeah, well, you could literally light it on fire with that and your giant titties. Like, what the fuck? So it doesn't make any sense to me. And yeah, so fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
All right.
Oh my god. Light them on fire because you're a dragon with giant titties.
It's the truth.
Here I am imagining flamethrower jubbly.
Oh dear Lord.
Oh,
and
God,
Chris Jones had another question that's related to this too. Is thoughts on Mars Girl being confirmed to be one of the ringleaders that started the false allegations against Vic?
Oh, what a fucking surprise!
Let's say I am Micah's lack of surprise. I had a feeling it was her. I had a feeling.
Imagine my shock.
Yeah, pretty much. So, Kaylin, you fucked up. No, I got a serious thing here. You're overcompensating for what happened with Justin. And you know it. What he did was evil, and he hid it from all of us. Except for the few people that knew. And it hurt. I know better than anybody that it hurt to find out. But trying to destroy someone to compensate for it, the best thing to do is not to trade your hurt and turn it into evil the best thing to do is to be somebody who lives a righteous life. And what happens to you next is something you deserve the full brunt of. And I'm hoping someday you can redeem yourself. But as for right now, time's almost up. Alright, next question. Samurai Bear wants to know, if I had to bail it, would I sacrifice the audience? Oh my
Samurai
God.
Bear?
Oh my God. So, with my luck, as the Guts poster is over my right shoulder, that's what would happen to me eventually, is somebody like that would be coming after my head. And for those of you who have not read Berserk, you don't want that coming after you. That's scary. But it depends on what I would get, because I would have to become a giant monster. And it's not like they're going to give me a harem of, like, beautiful short-haired women.
The eradication of waifu anime.
Well, wait a minute. Shit, now I'm thinking about it. The total destruction of waifu bait. That might be worth it. You guys are all fucked. I'm sorry. You're dead.
That's what y'all fucking get for baiting him with all that fucking waifu shit.
It's nice knowing you. We had some fun times, but I'm tired of this shit.
Here's your beach episode.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Holy shit.
Oh.
What the fuck is wrong with us?
Where do we start?
Oh my God.
I can only imagine the reactions whenever my neighbors hear me yell, "Millions will die!" All right.
Oh God.
Brian Gilmartin wants to know, someone on another Vic Mignogna question, oddly enough. Someone on Facebook tried to lay the Vic situation on the state of America rather than SJWs in particular. Thoughts? No, this is a social justice thing. Yeah, well, let me say this. The fact that it became politicized, like, it really felt like right versus left again, is the current state of America. Yeah. That's for certain. But I would not say that the whole thing is. It really is social justice warriors, non-social justice warriors, and I think that's about it.
Social justice, in a way, is kind of responsible for the current state of America right now.
Oh yeah,
certainly been stoking the flames of division since before 2016.
Oh, absolutely. I still laid at the feet of the Obama era. He was easily the most divisive president of all time, and it was because he promoted social justice.
Well, PC culture really started to kick into gear in the twilight years of the Bush presidency. So
yeah, after it had been seemingly soundly defeated at the beginning of it. Mm-hmm. And then again, that's just the way that the left has been moving for some time now. Mm-hmm. So, Red Dragon wants to know, what do we think about Apex Legends? And are its woke materials with 25% of the characters being gay? That I didn't know. I don't really plan on ever playing it. And to my recollection, the game isn't about fucking. Mm-hmm. Unless you're doing it to somebody's face with bullets.
Yeah. I don't care.
So I don't see the point of even discussing sexuality, which is one thing I really don't understand. It's like these hero shooters or games like this. It's like, unless there is like, it's going to affect the plot of the game, I really don't care who fucks who.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point if it's not character driven at all?
Yeah, it's like with Mass Effect
story. What the hell does identity have to do with any of it? Like,
yeah.
Even with the Overwatch thing, like, okay, Tracer's a lesbian. Okay, Soldier 76 is gay. Okay.
Yeah, it's like,
why does this matter?
Does Soldier 76 walk around with a dildo strapped to his fucking head now? Like, are there pride marches in Overwatch? Do I get to shoot them? Like,
Who gives a fuck?
who cares? You know, it's ridiculous to me. You know, it's like in Mass Effect. That made a little bit more sense because you're dealing with a lot of people who have character depth to them.
Yes.
So, and given that you're on a ship I don't know if any of you know about the Navy, but if you're on a ship in the middle of nowhere and there's a lot of people around you, suddenly you start noticing the shapeliness of people's hips. So that made more sense, you know? But, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, what do you fucking do?
Yeah, it's like, okay, you know, put it in there if you want to. I don't care.
It doesn't affect the gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, unless my character is going to start humping people without, like, beyond my control or something like that, I don't think it means anything, really.
I think really the core of it is, why are you putting it in there? Are you putting it in there for brownie points, or are you putting it in there because
it's brownie points? Let's be honest. It's brownie points.
It certainly feels that way, especially if they have to fucking announce it. Like, what the hell is the point? But no.
It's not like the video game announcer, like, in the middle of Apex Legend goes, here is the champion team, and by the way, this one pounds ass.
Yeah, like, who gives a shit? Okay. They're gay. Okay.
Whoopie fucking do.
Take your brownie points and fucking go. Just make a good game. I don't give a shit.
Anita Sarkeesian is happy. You have made Anita Sarkeesian happy. Congratulations. Did she buy a copy? Of course not. Shut the fuck up.
It's fucking hilarious how she's pissed off now because people are asking her to, like, bless their games as not sexist. When they basically made her the fucking feminist pope.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you made your bed. What did Big Blue Whale say? You made your bed, now get fucked in it?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Live by the sword.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Autist Whisper wants to know thoughts on the intellectual amoebas begging James Cameron to stop making strong female characters so as Captain Marvel could do well at the expense of Alita. Projections for Captain Marvel continue to get worse, by the way. Yeah. And they are like, damage control from the press is in full effect right now.
Oh, have you noticed the flurry of articles now trying to say how terrible Alita is?
Yes, I have seen that. And on
Holy
top of that, I saw an article today that was trying to run apology because of the review embargo for Captain Marvel. It is like 2 days before release is when the embargo gets lifted.
Mm-hmm.
The only other Marvel film that did that was Infinity War because of spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good sign. Because embargoes on Captain America movies and Iron Man movies and Thor and all this Black Panther were lifted weeks in advance.
Mm-hmm.
That does not show confidence. Like we've said, behind the scenes, from what we have seen, behind the scenes, I have a feeling Kevin Feige is preparing for this movie to suck.
Mm-hmm. And remember, they have a backup plan just in case.
It's called Spider-Man.
That's in case Captain Marvel as a character flops.
Mm-hmm.
Endgame is the immediate backup plan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a little over a fucking month.
Yeah.
After. So, well,
because the thing is that the press really wants Brie Larson to be the face of the brand because she's intersectional. Well, that's basically it, you know, and she's
a woman with the right politics.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and at my problem, you know, the problem with that is that a lot of people don't like that, you know, because guys like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. all vote the same way she does, but they're not assholes. They're not going to sit there and say, I don't want white people coming to my movie.
No. Chris Evans will be a bit of a dick on Twitter, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. And not everybody follows him on Twitter. He still does USO tours.
Yeah. And
stuff like that. Brie Larson wouldn't be caught dead doing that with some of the shit she says.
Fuck no.
So
go and watch some of the interviews, the promotional interviews that she's been giving, and just see how condescending
she sucks.
She is.
Like, seriously, she's a shitty person.
Seriously, like, what in the fuck happened?
she's high on her own farts.
I say Oscar happened, because same thing with fucking Jennifer Lawrence too.
Yeah.
Once you get into Oscar, it's like all of a sudden ego everywhere.
Unless you're Anthony Hopkins, I guess.
Unless you're Anthony Hopkins.
Which that reminds me, you want to know something weird that I thought of today? Gary Oldman has not played a villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet. Or any character whatsoever. I'm surprised by that. I wonder if they're saving him for something. Probably not Doom, but name a villain, he could probably play it. I wouldn't mind seeing him as the Green Goblin.
He would be a pretty good Norman Osborn, I think.
But anyway, but the point is that I'm not surprised. I mean, the reason that they find Alita problematic is it destroys the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. It's a movie that has resonated with the audience with a strong, complex female lead and no fucking political injections.
Exactly. Marketed, in a way that it was intriguing. That movie had 0 bad trailers.
The weirdest things I said about it was the eyes.
That was basically the only thing.
That was it.
Yeah, but as time, people went and saw the movie, they're like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And it was a really good movie.
I was going in like, I don't know. And then I came out like, I want a sequel.
Yeah, exactly. I think that of all the people that I know, which is, I'm the only one I think that I knew that knew the source material. And I was going to be the toughest critic going in, and I was impressed by it. So that should say something, I would think, given how well I know the source material. It's one of only 3 manga I've ever read. So, or I've ever liked, I should say.
Well, guess what?
What?
It has made a profit.
Good.
Officially.
Good news, everyone.
Good news, everyone. $265 million worldwide gross.
Good stuff. All right, let's move on. Eclectic 1995 wants to know, how big of an impact has the original Karate Kid had on the public perception of martial arts and martial arts culture in general? I think that it really, at the time, didn't have that much of an effect. It was just, instead of a kung fu movie, it was a karate movie. Just a different martial art. I think that the only thing that really affected the way we perceive martial arts in the here and now and changed the way that we look at it was mixed martial arts. The instant Hoist Gracie started taking people to the ground and choking them unconscious, or Ken Shamrock started putting people in heel hooks, things changed. Suddenly, martial arts became different. And we're just now at a point where we're starting to see sort of the fantastical types of striking and spinning maneuvers and things like that get popularized, but it's because these martial artists know the foundations of how to keep themselves off the ground and getting choked out. So, no, I don't think it had much of an impact at all.
Yes, it's more of a... As far as martial arts go, I don't think so. It's just more of a waxing, if you will. It had more of an impact on waxing than anything else.
It was a meme movie at the time.
More or less, yeah. I mean, you still have people where, obviously, the wax on, wax off.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel-san, fucking Cobra Kai. Well, hell, they even made the show,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Because there are, like, some things about it, like, I remember watching parts of Cobra Kai, and it's like, oh, the ultimate strike is this handstand kick. I'm like, you have any idea how fucking impractical that shot is?
Very.
It's slow. You cannot have a slow kick. Because in an actual fight, someone will grab your feet and drag you to the ground and beat the shit out of you. So, alright, let's move on to... Incel Mafioso says, seeing as I'm a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, What would your stand be? I.e., abilities, appearance, and name. God. Well,
I know nothing.
it would have to be named after a band, because that's what they've been doing lately. Well, I'm wearing a Megadeth shirt, so that would probably be it. It would probably be some sort of humanoid with a painted face like El Dia de los Muertos. And being that his name would be Megadeth, he can punch things and make them explode. So that would be mine.
I've got nothing. I know jack shit about fucking JoJo except for
The memes.
Tio Brando and Zawardo, which fucking Zawardo was a meme before the whole JoJo references thing.
Well, that's the funny thing about it, is that it was a lesser known, like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as a manga has been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never actually read the actual source material. I've watched like the animes and stuff. I knew of the story of Dio Brando, but I never saw it until the Phantom Blood. But it's a good, like, well, the first 3 seasons are good. The first season is probably the most serious of the 3. Because it's got a very dark story to it. Because the character of Dio Brando is like he is to manga what Victor Von Doom is to comics. He is that kind of a figure. And yeah. Hatman needs to watch it.
Maybe.
You should. At least watch. If you Phantom Blood is 7 episodes. If you're not hooked at the end of it, you're not going to get hooked at all. But it's a fun well, the first 3 seasons were fun. The 4th one, when I watched it, that one is Diamond is Unbreakable, and I wasn't that impressed by it personally. The villain was kind of weak in comparison to Dio Brando. It kind of felt like a Monster of the Week show in comparison to the previous 2 shows. Stardust Crusaders had sort of or did have that same sort of vibe, but I liked the fact that Stardust Crusaders was a little darker than Diamond is Unbreakable was, and that I think really kind of made the story that much more serious. Not to mention it had a better protagonist, because Jotaro Kujo is like the cool guy in anime in a lot of senses. Like, he's just the epitome of cool. He's like if the Fonz had superpowers. So. Plus Dio. He's awesome.
Drop a steamroller on him.
Exactly. I've actually been mulling around ideas of the shame button, and I've thought about ending it with me being Dio and dropping a steamroller on you.
Oh God, yeah.
I might do that. It's the shame bell. Shame. ROADROLLER! I just come out of nowhere with a fucking steamroller.
Oh my God.
Yep, that's what we're doing.
That's an old school fucking meme.
Oh yeah, it was a meme before the most recent anime series.
Oh hell
because
yeah.
there was an OVA series back in the day.
Early to mid 2000s, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because that was around the time that a lot of older anime and OVAs got leaked onto the internet and were getting torrented all over the place. Mm-hmm. And people just loved JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, it was really good. You know, for a show that was like, when did the original OVA came out? The original OVA is literally just the end of Stardust Crusaders, and it stops with the fight between Dio and Jotaro, and I saw it back when I was in college. No, not when I was in college. When I was writing for Tech Raptor. Sorry, I got it and Berserk confused for a second, but I watched it when I was at Tech Raptor. I'm like, dude, this fucking shit's intense. So, It has the most intense gambling scene you will ever see. The original OVA, not the most recent one. The most recent one, the Gambler Derby one, is kind of, because of the overall tone, it's not as like tense as the original was. Okay, let's finish this out. For this set, Koopa's Revenge Home wants to know, he's considering doing his own podcast. What software and hardware would we recommend? Hardware, you're going to want a pretty decent PC. You know, if you're doing a podcast, depending on how you're doing it. If you're doing a video podcast like we do every week, you're going to need OBS or the Streamlabs version of OBS. I would recommend the Streamlabs one. I've been using it for the last month. It is much more stable than normal OBS is. It doesn't crash nearly as often. And it's got a lot of plugins for when your audience grows, and if people want to donate or whatever to support, you know, that's always an option for them, and it makes it so much easier. If you're going to be editing software, I always say you can't go wrong with Vegas. I've been using Vegas since 2009, and it's been 10 years, and I'm still satisfied with it. Usually you can get Vegas Pro on a Steam sale for like $70.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same kind of learning curve that Premiere has.
Yeah. Now, if you want to learn Premiere, you want to do crazy video editing, you can actually pay monthly for that up until you pay it off. Get the student discount, for God's sake. Yes, because it is expensive.
Find someone with a .edu email if you don't have one, and you get verified for it, and it's like $20 a month for the first year, and then it's like $30 a month for the years afterwards. That's still cheaper than you're paying fucking.
And you get the full CS suite.
Oh yeah, it's so much fucking better that way. I still don't like Creative Cloud that much, so
I don't either. Yeah, the only CS software I use is Photoshop.
Yeah, if you find a copy of Premiere like CS6 or something around, snap that shit up.
Yeah, because I have, what do I have? I think I have CS6 for Photoshop. It's really good, but even if you can find an old copy of Photoshop CS. Mm-hmm. It's still really good software, even to this day.
Elements, even if you can find a copy of Elements, and usually they're like $100 or less.
Yeah,
that works just as well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that would be my recommendations for audio recording. Definitely get Audacity.
Yes,
it's free. It's freeware, and it is good for simple stuff.
Yeah,
if you want to do like really good recording of audio, like instruments and stuff like that, you're going to need professional software.
Yeah.
But Audacity's good for simple shit.
Yeah, if you're just doing a podcast, Audacity, you really can't go wrong with that.
Yep. And then other advice I would have is
mics.
My recommendation, Hatman has a blue Hatman has a Blue Yeti. I have a very complicated setup, so I'll move my microphone in front of the camera here a little bit. No, I can't really do that properly. So this, you're going to see how messy my living room is, or my office. So this microphone cost me $80 used, but you can see the cable. It has its own power source. And I have a mixer over there that's got several channels on it. It's a 8-channel mixer. It's basically made for a studio. And that's why my audio quality is so fucking good, is because this whole rig cost me $200. And I bought all this on the cheap. So, but inevitably, whenever I get the chance to move out to North Carolina, we get to have a studio, or whenever that is, well, I've already got the equipment to do it. So
mine is just simple Blue Yeti with a pop filter on it. You can get them now with like your boom arm stands and a shock mount on them for under $200.
Yep.
If you have the cash to drop for it, I say do it.
Yeah.
They've also got like Yeti Nanos or something now, like a smaller version, which I haven't messed around with it all.
Yeah.
But,
You definitely want a condenser mic.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Because when I didn't have a condenser mic, my old Blue, the Snowball, I had to have you can't really hear the echo in here as much as you used to because I have a condenser now. But when I didn't have a condenser, I had to have I recorded in a smaller room, so there was less of an echo, and I had to put up acoustic paneling, which is now just kind of sitting in my closet.
But definitely get a pop filter with it too. It's under $10, and it's worth the investment.
Yeah,
really.
you can get just like a basic bitch one on Amazon for really cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, like and just other general tips. If you tend to stammer or pause like Hatman and I do, it is good to have a partner to keep driving you. Obviously, I'm already taken. So,
don't ask me, I'm busy.
Yeah, exactly. We're both pretty busy guys. But I mean, other than that, like with a computer, if you have a gaming PC, you've already got all the hardware you need. You know, for the PC, you're probably gonna be able to record pretty easily. You know, what else would I recommend?
Cameras?
Yeah, camera. I have a Logitech webcam that I use. It's it can output at 1080p, and you know, as you can see, the quality is pretty good. Make sure that you've got a light source on you, because if you don't have light on you, as I will do here, you'll see like the frame rate like halves.
Yeah. Because
the camera is trying to track everything in the room instead of just the light source.
Yeah, there are some cameras now, like the Razer Kio, that actually have a light source built in. It's like a ring light. So if you don't have a light source around you, then you got that. I literally just have a lamp sitting right there. And
yeah, same here. I have a desk lamp that just sits there.
So yeah, because there's fluorescent lighting in this room, and I don't like that. So I have lamps that help me light the things up. I'll actually show you. So I'll just cut this lamp off. So this is what it looks like with fluorescent lighting.
Ugh.
Awful. See? So no, definitely consider your light source too. And literally just small little desk lamps can go a long way. Or like I said, if you prefer a camera that's got your ring light in it, do that. But be aware, if you wear glasses, that shit is going to show up on your glasses, and it's going to look really, really awkward.
That's part of the reason I don't wear my glasses whenever we're recording.
Yeah. That's why I don't have a ring light.
Exactly. And if you have a ring light and you're recording too close, like the Paul Joseph Watson thing, when you're this close to the camera, the ring light will show in your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's distracting as fuck.
Yeah, it's weird. It makes you look like a weird fucking alien.
Yeah, because like Roaming Millennial did that for a while. Like she was too close to her camera.
Yeah. And
you could see the ring light in her eyes. And I'm like, this is distracting. Stop it. So.
Another tip, and I think this will be the last one I can really give you. Don't be afraid if you sound kind of weird and choppy and awkward the first couple of times. You'll get the hang of it eventually.
Yeah.
For me, I don't like the sound of my own voice. I cannot stand it. I have not listened to a single podcast that we have done since we started all the way through, because I don't like the sound of my voice that much. Other people are
nobody
not
does
hear it. Other people are not going to hear it like you do. So just keep in mind, you do not sound as awkward as you think you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, you'll get more comfortable with it anyway. So do good.
Yeah, I don't really mind my speaking voice very much. Is whenever I sing, I can't listen to myself. I'm told by everyone else I am a good singer, but I listen to myself and I'm like, I actually didn't end up entering the fucking whatchamacallit, that Doom contest to be part of that metal choir,
right?
Because of it. Like it's that bad for me. And then I had a friend listen to a demo. He's like, dude, this was pretty good. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was fucking awful. I didn't do it. And he's like, what? So.
Yeah, I won't talk about my singing voice.
Yep. All right. On to the next set of questions. Alrighty, on to part 2, and as we said with the first part of this, we're dressed differently, and Hatman has a new camera too.
Yeah, I literally just got a camera in today. Thanks Amazon for crushing the box, by the way. But as you can tell, the camera itself was not damaged.
Yes.
So, hi, I look better. I hope now you can see all the scars from acne and shit on my face.
And we both have that curse.
Uh,
I'm just glad that I don't have them on like the areas where I'm getting all tattooed on my arms.
well,
That would suck.
Unfortunately, I will always have like fucking bumps and shit all over me because damn skin conditions. I inherited that from my mom and her mom before her and her mom before her.
Yeah, they're not fun.
No, no. Ginger skin has that curse. Even though I'm not ginger myself, being half ginger is still enough of a curse.
Indeed. All right, so for the second half, what should we start with, partner? Entertainment or politics?
We started politics last time, right?
Yes.
Well, let's reverse things. Let's go entertainment first.
All right, so we'll bookend it, basically. All right, so Will End starts off, says, what do we know about George MacDonald, 19th century Scottish fantasy writer, minister, and master of C.S. Lewis? Well, I know the name. I can't say I've read anything of his. So I will have to... Yeah.
Nothing about him, so.
I'll have to do a bit of reading on that one at some point.
Yep.
Alistair Folgore, nice name. What are our thoughts on the Infamous and Prototype games?
Ooh. Yes. Very yes.
Well,
I like them.
With me, I enjoyed the first Prototype, though I went back and played it recently. It was kind of shallow.
Mm-hmm. I
like Infamous 2 quite a bit. 1, again, suffered from the same issue. It was kind of shallow. Mm-hmm. The story was kind of simplistic.
Yeah.
There was a couple of... for a game that was marketed on its decision-making, there were a couple of decisions that you make that were... No matter what you did, it had the same fucking outcome.
Yeah,
it's just basically, are you a dick or are you a nice guy?
Yeah, it's sort of like Mass Effect's, Renegade Paragon sort of thing. It didn't really have that much effect to it.
Pretty much. So, but the gameplay's fine.
2,
yeah.
Prototype 2 is really fucking good, though.
That's what I've heard. I've never played it.
I enjoyed the hell out of that. Yeah, what's his name? God, I'm gonna forget the main character's name. I don't remember protagonist of the second one, but Alex Mercer, you're basically going after him in Prototype 2.
I see.
Fucking awesome. It's like you fuck yourself up to go after him. Become the monster to fight the monster.
Interesting.
But yeah, it was pretty awesome. They basically just fixed the mechanics from the first one.
I see.
So, the combat is a lot smoother.
Well, that's good, at least.
But yeah, Infamous, I haven't played Infamous 2. I've played the first one. So...
Yeah, first one was good, but flawed. Second game, a lot tighter. Characters are a lot more interesting. See, I didn't play Second Son, because I didn't care.
I guess that's what... I guess that's basically just it for us. We like the sequels that we played better.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dankor's Elric wants to know, it seems like most of the blame of the AAA game industry and social media can be blamed on investors. Social media sites seem to go to shit as soon as they start to get outside money, whether directed by fiat or to avoid scaring them away. Likewise, game publishers' increasingly heavy-handed monetization schemes and rushed dev cycles stem from investors' demand for unsustainable growth. Short of dismantling capitalism, what can we consumers do about it, seeing as we're not the true customers anymore? Well, here's the thing. Even if they do that, there is ultimately a... and these investors should be smart enough to realize this, is that there is a... there's an element of it where they still have to face the market and the realities of the market. And if they run their companies like trash, they will go down the hole. I mean, we're seeing that with EA. We're seeing that with Twitter. Twitter's stock continues to go down. So does EA's, and so do other companies that tend to do this sort of shit. there's others. There are some companies that have a problem where they continue to go up and down and up and down, like the WWE. You know, WWE stock was on the rise for a while, and then they fucked up a few things when it came to the actual program. People started tuning out, and investors started to drop. At the end of the day, even when it comes to publicly traded companies, you have to be not shit to continue to make money. It's the same as any other company. So that would be my kind of long and short about that one is, you know, you're going to have the investors that you have to worry about if you're publicly traded, but at the same time, you can't run your company like ass and then expect for them to stay. So really all that shows is just that these investors are not very bright. Good businessmen play the long game. You know, they understand that if they want a company to succeed, they got to play the long game.
Yeah. I think really the most that we the consumers can do about it is just stop fucking participating in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, obviously, you know, vote with your wallet, but you know, I'm gonna go the Total Biscuit route on this one. Stop fucking pre-ordering games that do this shit.
Yeah.
Stop buying them. Stop renting them. Stop giving them money. You know, boycott the publisher if you fucking have to. I have not bought a goddamn Activision game since what, Modern Warfare 2 maybe? Because of how they fucked over Infinity Ward. I have not bought an Activision game since then. And you know, it kind of breaks my heart because it's like, oh shit, you know, I won't get to play the new Crash Bandicoot or the remake Crash Bandicoot, whatever. But it's like, you know, you stick to your fucking guns on it.
Yeah.
You know, EA. I said when fucking EA pulled that shit with Battlefront 2, I said on this podcast, I would not buy Battlefront 2 at all. I don't care if it goes on discount. I really wanted to play it, but I'm sticking to my guns on it. I have not played it one bit. Didn't rent it, buy it. Hell no. Fuck that shit. I'm not going to support. I don't care if they got rid of all that shit and walked it all back. The fact that they thought they could get away with it in the first place is bad enough for me. I don't give a damn. So either they learn next go round and then they can have my business back, or fuck them. And right now, it's fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
The big thing is you don't want to go the Jim Sterling method.
No.
He's fat!
The reason you don't want to go the Jim Sterling method is because all people like Jim Sterling or Angry Joe ever do, and I called Joe out for this multiple times, is all they do is bitch about the same thing over and over again. Yet they're more than happy to make 50 fucking videos on something and give that thing free publicity. And it actually has, it's like the Streisand effect. If you give it all this attention, and people are going to start getting curious, and they're going to end up buying it anyway. And that was one thing that I had noticed back when I was at Blistered Thumbs, is like, if you made something out to be the end of the fucking world, people are like, oh, I got to see this if it's that bad.
Yeah.
It is the reverse effect. But if you point out the ethical problems, if you point out the things that aren't, that you have issues with, and you make a solid argument as to why people should not buy the product, then they will not buy it. But if you continue to minge like the fat fuck you are, then you end up doing nothing, and people just get curious about it, and nothing ever changes.
Yeah.
You know, the consumer has done more against EA than Jim Sterling wishes he could have ever done.
Yeah.
And the consumer did it in a year, and he's been bitching about EA for a decade, but he wasn't making arguments. And his arguments were basically, oh, capitalism is so wrong.
Well,
Fuck
capitalism is the reason why EA's stock has been tanking.
Yeah.
And continues to fucking tank. Capitalism is the reason why the same shit's been happening to Activision. Fucking.
And we talked about that on part 1.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do about that? Yeah, voting with your wallet works. You have to get enough people to do it, but when you piss off your consumer base, even though you're not the right customers, if you're the majority of people buying this shit, I would say, yeah, you are technically the right customers. I mean, they can market Battlefield 5 to, whatever, women, non-binary, fucking whatever the hell,
disabled black trans people named Joaquina.
Yeah, they can market it to everyone but men, just men in fucking general.
Yeah.
But when the target audience for first-person shooters is primarily men, when that's the majority of your fucking market share, and they say, fuck you for calling us, for basically calling us assholes as part of your marketing scheme, we're not going to have anything to do with it. And they fucking wonder, oh my God.
It's like, fine, fuck you too.
Yeah. How did this not fucking work? Well, I don't know. Maybe you need to go back over your shit and see why in the hell you thought it was a good idea to say, don't buy this if you don't like it.
I wrote an article yesterday that went up on Bleeding Fool today, where I went over what Ethan and I talked about months ago. Because this also ties into the whole Brie Larson and Rotten Tomatoes thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is imagine if you have this burger place called Marvel's House of Tasty Burgers, and you've been enjoying this place for a number of years, and then suddenly you pull up in your Dodge Ram with the Trump Pence bumper sticker on it, and you're there for a nice tasty fucking burger and steak fries, which sounds really good right now. And then all of a sudden the pissy blonde waitress and the black old guy chef come out and start chucking bricks at your car. Are you gonna go there? Fuck no. You're gonna wait until Chef Thanos is in to satisfy you with a snap of his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the general point, is that if you start chucking bricks, proverbially speaking, at your potential audience and people who want to buy your stuff, they're gonna say fuck you. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
It's why, part of the reason why, they train people in customer service to endure and maneuver conversations so that they can calm down angry people. It's because they want your money. So it is that foolishness that will eventually bite them in the ass one way or another. Because the untold story of like Twitter is that people have been leaving Twitter slowly but surely, bit by bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with Facebook. So we'll have to see what it goes. But yeah, the idea that your wallet does not mean as much as it used to is bullshit. If anything, it means more.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can wrap it up like this. They're biting the hand that feeds.
Exactly.
And that's something obviously you don't fucking do.
That's the great thing about capitalism. Who the only color that matters is green.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's continue. Damien X247 wants to know thoughts on Donny Cates still getting threats from Eddie symbiote shippers. Told you. I'm wearing my Venom shirt today. I mean, fuck, man. You cannot kowtow to these kinds of people.
Mm-mm.
Now, just to recap, for those who don't know, obviously I'm the Venom fan here, as if it couldn't get any more fucking obvious. But the what happened was Donny Cates was getting shit on social media from people who wanted Venom and the Symbiote to be gay. It's basically the long and short of it. And people in Comicsgate defended him. Well, he probably got a DM from a buddy of his, or most likely Tim Doyle, because Tim Doyle attacked me on Twitter for just some musing about the situation. Then when I said, hey, what about the boxing match you said you wanted to take people up on? He blocked me again, because Tim Doyle was afraid of me. But probably got a DM from someone like Tim Doyle or somebody at Marvel saying, Comicsgate people are white nationalists. You need to disavow them right now. And he did. And suddenly, virtue signaling didn't solve the problem.
What a surprise.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
How many times have we said it that shippers are the fucking cancer of fandoms?
They really are. Shippers and just fandoms in general, but
but
especially shippers
in general. But shippers are the fucking worst of it. I mean, and this isn't even that unusual. I mean, we talked, a couple months ago about, a Steven Universe writer being threatened and run off of fucking social media because they didn't make some fucking ship canon.
Yeah, and then there was some girl, because of the Steven Universe fandom, that almost killed herself, if I remember right.
Yeah, because she drew one of the fat characters as skinny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fandom is cancer, but shippers are the worst.
Yeah,
of it.
and I will warn everybody in the audience right now when it comes to anything that I write. You're more than welcome to, desire certain characters to get together, but at the end of the day, it's my decision. And if you start this sort of shit, or you threaten me because of a story decision I make, I will kill the character. I will do it just to fucking spite
you. You'll have the other half of the ship kill that character just to spite them.
I will. For those of you who have never heard of the book No Hero, I will have the character do that. Basically, there's a point where in the book No Hero where the protagonist / antagonist, as you learn later, rips out a guy's spine and ties it around his waist as a giant cock.
Jesus.
I'll have him do that. Don't fuck with me.
That's some Mortal Kombat shit.
Right? It really was. But no, in all seriousness, I won't kill him. But I will tell you to shut up. Let me write my book. Yeah. But I will tell you honestly, a lot of writers are like that, where if you piss them off too much, they will genuinely consider killing a character off.
Yep.
Just to fuck with you.
Yep.
So, and I am a writer who is already good at fucking with your emotions, as Hatman can tell you. Don't test me. I can make it a lot worse.
Yeah.
People who read my stories read them for two reasons. Men like my stories because they are oftentimes action-packed, and I actually have this thing where that other writers do not do, where in some fist fights there will be panel by panel, strike by strike throughout an entire page. What was the one I did on Inglewood? Was it 16 panels? It was 8 or 16, I can't remember. I want to say it was an 8. It was a 16 punch by punch. No, it was 8. It was 8. 9 panels. Sorry, 9 panel punch by punch.
I don't fucking remember.
But think about that. Like every single strike in a fight, put into art. Like that's the sort of stuff that I do for action sort of scenes and stuff like that. I'm very detailed on my action. But I'll admit this is for the ladies, is I like to write emotionally driven stories. Women like that sort of thing. So, and I know we have women in the audience. I've actually got that confirmed through emails. There's a, that's part of the thing that when women read my stories, what they're interested in. I talked about the stories I used to write in college. The whole vampire story I wrote and stuff like that. I wrote it towards women, and it definitely had an effect for what... I remember how horrified Hatman was. Oh, shit. So, but yeah, like, don't do that to writers. Don't.
No.
All right, Leonardo Juan asks, thoughts on the memes of Mignona being portrayed as the shield hero from Rise of the Shield Hero? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
I've just been rewatching JoJo. Which, by the way, Hatman needs to watch JoJo.
Is that a JoJo reference?
Yes.
Okay.
Seriously though, you should. It is a really good suit. Well, watch up until the end of Stardust Crusaders. Everything after that is eh. It's kind of the same gimmick, different location. Anyway,
Rising of the Shield here. I don't fucking.
Let's see here. There's a question here from Daniel Garza about Funimation removing the ability to cancel, but we already answered that in part 1. And Hardball Entertainment asked a question about, say, how we would run Rapture. We answered that one on the podcast.
Yes.
Crystal Wing 2149 wants to know, do we think the EDF 2017-2025 would make a good manga, anime, and movie? And would we ever play EDF on game night? If somebody gifted it to me, I definitely would once I can actually afford a capture card. As for good anime or manga, well, it's about killing giant insects. Yeah, you could make that fun. Yeah, Earth Defense Force.
Okay. I'm not very familiar with it, so.
Okay, Autos Whisperer asks, thoughts on Lady Alchemy creator Martina Markota being deplatformed by Chase Bank? How did that happen?
I've heard of Chase Bank outright, like, ending fucking people's accounts. Including one, and this might be the same person, including one person who had a GoFundMe up. And the funds were supposed to go into that bank account. But because, you know, the account got canceled and the campaign was still running, they couldn't fucking change shit. I think they actually got that fixed, but still, the fact that people are getting bank accounts closed for wrongthink now, and even the word just got out that PayPal was working with the SPLC to fucking close people's accounts.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. First off, and I can say this as somebody who has worked in a bank before, if you just cancel someone's account for something that is not agreed in the terms when the contract is signed, you could be sued for that. Big time. That's why you can't just cancel someone's account willy-nilly, which is what this sounds like. It sounds like there is an activist that works there that found this person's information and just canceled it. Well, you can't do that. You have to provide some sort of evidence. Gavin McGinnis, and for those who are saying, well, the SPLC is too powerful, Gavin McGinnis is suing them. Again, we are not defenseless.
Yeah, I was about to say, SPLC's been sued multiple times in recent years for this sort of shit.
Yeah, and and the thing is, Gavin has said he won't settle. This will go to the court. And yeah, you shouldn't settle for this.
No, absolutely.
There's a point that needs to be made here. So, but yeah, again, we are not defenseless.
No.
And yes, that will be a t-shirt. but no, we're not defenseless. And not to mention, it's like, the good news is that there are more you throw a rock in this day and age, you can find a bank. So the good news is that sort of thing is really just a delay. It sucks, don't get me wrong. And yeah, you should lawyer up if that happens. Yeah. But the good news is it's not hard to find a bank that will take your money.
Credit unions.
Credit unions are great.
Credit unions. I can't speak highly enough about credit unions.
Especially local ones.
Yes, if you're not with one, get with one.
This in my opinion is a really good advertisement for local banks.
Yes.
Like local banks. Like seriously, go to a local bank. Not a big branch, go to a local bank. And you'll see that they want your money. You'll see that if you say, I'm a business person, I am a comic book creator, so on and so forth, I've got all this money coming in, they're going to be like, here's an account! Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of them are getting snapped up by larger institutions, though. We just had a few in town here get snapped up, and now all the signs have changed over. Like, the old local one downtown is now a PNC.
But even then, if the people who are local know you, there's less of a chance of this happening.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, corporate bullshit tends to get in the way, too, especially if you've got, screeching harpies on social media demanding shit happen, because the knee-jerk reaction to that from the big corporation is, oh, shit, we can't afford a PR risk.
Exactly. And that's what they take advantage of.
Yeah. Exactly.
But again, the problem is, of course, you can sue them for that. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. King and Scarlet wants to know, what do we think of Dungeons and Dragons? I love it. I don't have time for it anymore, sadly.
D&D, most of what Wizards of the Coast is doing now, I really don't like. Like even I've more or less stopped playing Magic at this point even.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And folks, for those of you who don't know, this man has a bunch of Magic cards in the trunk of his car.
Yeah. I keep basically all of my fucking Magic shit in my car because
I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, it's not in my car anymore. It's literally sitting outside this door here. Because I used to fucking go every Friday night. I go to my local game store and go to Friday Night Magic and just play it up. You know, I had a briefcase. You know, walking into F&M like I'm fucking Seto Kaiba. Got my steel briefcase with all my fucking decks in there.
Jesus.
But no, it like I don't fucking play it anymore because I've just gotten so sick of all the fucking initiatives that they've been pushing. Like, you know, the posters they put up on the walls talking about how they're so committed to diversity and inclusion, and meanwhile, like the guy who is running the judge who's running the fucking F&M events is like, yeah, I know most of y'all don't, you know, engage in this sort of behavior, but I just want you to know, we will not tolerate, people who espouse, the sort of stuff that like MTG headquarters likes to talk about, and that kind of stuck with me. And I think I only went back a couple of times after he said that, and we had Jeremy on the show even around that time.
Yeah,
and
right before he dropped all the pedo stuff.
Yeah, and it's like knowing that came more or less from the top down has not sat well with me, like, at all. So, and even like, D&D, like it's really sort of infecting that too. Pathfinder, even, I've heard, I have not played Pathfinder in probably half a decade, but even fucking Pathfinder is getting hit with this shit. I know White Wolf is basically fucking done as far as social justice indoctrination. They've been gone for a while. So, tabletop RPGs, like what the fuck is left? Warhammer 40K, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know, man. But no, I don't like how WotC's been acting lately. So D&D I've got no interest in anymore. Especially since the last campaign I played was 4th edition with a DM that was very, very insistent that we not divert from the story that they had planned out.
That never goes well.
No, it really doesn't. But
at that point, you might as well see if you can write a video game, man. Like that's
honestly, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, everyone else really enjoyed it, but for me, like, I don't mind diversion, but mostly because, as a writer, I can get back on track if need be. But I kind of felt like, I was a third wheel in that campaign. So, once I dropped out, everyone else had fun, and I'm like, okay, y'all have at it.
Yeah, with me, I play the character, and my character is a half-orc barbarian named Blarg, because that was the last noise his mother made before she died, giving birth to him.
I don't remember what my fucking character's name was, but I don't even know if he really had a name. But it was a chaotic evil cleric, because I was a fucking madman, but I played him as like someone whose accent would change every fucking time he talked, and that was more just for shits and giggles and events. And that alone was like enough to derail some shit.
Oh yeah, and I'll admit that I'm terrible with that sort of thing. Like, if I'm playing as Blarg, I'm going to fuck with the campaign because he wants to do 3 things. He wants to kill things, he wants to drink things, and he wants to fuck things. Possibly all at once. So there was a point where we were playing a game, and we're having a conversation with the barkeep, and at this point my character has drank 4 beers, and he is a half-orc, so he has quite a bit of tolerance. And the bartender, in mid-conversation, while we're trying to get information from him, refuses to continue to serve me drinks. So I embedded my axe in his fucking head. Now, what DM is going to plan for that? Not many of them. Because I rolled it, and I rolled a fucking 20. And just thunk.
See, you roll your nat 20s. I rolled my fucking critical shits.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, I was rolling bad all night. That was the one good roll I got. Was to kill the fucking bartender. For no goddamn reason. While we were in the middle of an interrogation with him and getting the information we needed. It was hilarious. Because everybody's like, why did you do that? Like, he wouldn't serve drinks. He's an asshole.
Why did you do that? He's an asshole, sir.
Exactly. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, we can.
So, Swordsman 100 wants to know, which is more damaging to Venom as a character, Dark Origin or Donny Cates' recent retcon spree? I don't think the retcons so far have been that damaging. I thought it was weird to give the symbiotes a god, but it did make for a fairly interesting story. Right now, what they're doing with is they are hinting that Eddie Brock has a son. And I'm not sure where that's going to go. But the big thing is that Carnage is waiting in the wings to show up again. And that is kind of where I am getting interested. Not to mention, evil Reed Richards, also known as the Maker, is involved as well. And I always thought the Maker was a really cool character. So that one, I honestly don't dislike Donnie's run. I think it's a really interesting story. It is like if John Carpenter did Venom. And I understand that he's kind of changing elements of the mythology, but at the same time, it's not being changed in a way that really makes things worse. Like, one thing that he did was he turned All Black the Necroblade, which is from Jason Aaron's early parts of Thor, during the God Butcher storyline, which is like this long mega arc of like 12 to 16 issues. And basically said that All Black was the very first symbiote created by this symbiote god named Null. And I thought that was actually kind of neat. You know, I thought that it turned out a lot better. And it's just been a really interesting bit of intrigue, learning more about Eddie's background and adding like little tidbits to the symbiotes and like how they're able to take people's memories and continue to process them, things like that. So I don't think that he's doing anything wrong. I think that it's just, for somebody who's a long-time reader, it can be a bit jarring. But I'm willing to give him a shot. So, Dark Origin, though, was just trash. And I don't think it's even considered canonical anymore. Nobody even references it. And then, final entertainment question. Thoughts on from Incel Mafioso. Thoughts on the localizers removing the so-called bigotry in Catherine Full Body. I've lost interest completely. Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, not surprised people would lose interest. Because, again, this is Westerners who have no interest in buying this game, mind you, trying to put pressure on a company. And now the people doing the dub are saying that they're going to cut that out. Well, then people are just going to buy the import.
Yeah,
they'll buy it from PlayAsia, and they'll completely ignore the current port. And then Atlas's USA branch, Atlas is going to be like, "What the fuck happened? Why are they not buying this local? Why are we shipping all these copies to the United States instead of it being done by the localization team?" Because the whole thing about the business with Japan, and I'm sorry I paused there, but the whole thing about the business with Japan is that, you know, if they're sending if the dub is not making any money, that's going to tell them that something's wrong. So, like we mentioned earlier, at this point, if you're watching this and you hate what's going on, get the import from PlayAsia.
Yeah. There is an important distinction, I believe, needs to be made, though. It's not entirely people that have not played this and have no fucking interest in Catherine at all. There's at least one speedrunner that has straight up said they will not play Catherine ever again unless this shit's fixed. And, you know, fuck it, who cares? I don't really pay attention to the speedrunning community, but apparently that was enough for people to lose their collective shit. And honestly, Western values conflicting with Eastern values, it's going to keep happening. We saw it with the fucking Dead or Alive 6 thing, the whole, well, you know, tits don't align with our core values sort of thing. And now we're seeing it with Catherine, of course. With Nintendo Treehouse, we saw shit with the nonsensical goddamn localizations. So, I mean, what it's just going to keep happening. Eventually, someone is going to put their foot down and say, "We don't give a shit." You know, you either translate it the right way, or you can fuck off.
Yeah. And
I think people are going to appreciate that. Of course, you know, the gaming press certainly won't, because, as to be fucking expected, they think they wield power. But no, I think most gamers are going to really appreciate and applaud such a move once it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it will happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yes. All right, let's bookend this with politics.
All right, off to politics.
Kalebach wants to know, why did all of the false accusations start? Do people forget that slander and libel are still things? Yes. Because, again, these folks know that they think narrative is more important than truth. And there is that old statement from Mark Twain that a lie can get halfway around the world before the truth gets the chance to put its pants on.
Yep.
Now, with that said, truth still seems to come out, especially in the information age. And that is the big benefit of the information age. It is harder to lie now than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because people can find that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
And you will pay for it.
I think...
but they think they're going to get away from it, basically.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think also that they figure if there's no evidence to prove that they made the shit up, then they can't get taken to court for it.
Which is also not true, because you have to have corroborating evidence to make an accusation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called burden of proof for a reason.
Well, even then, if a journalist reports on it, I mean, you can still get hit with libel for a reckless disregard for truth seeking.
Yeah. And you got to think of the way that a lot of bloggers use these published stories. They publish it simply off a quote.
Oh, yeah.
Anita Sarkeesian says, "I was threatened." There were articles all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, when the truth came out that the threats weren't considered credible by the FBI, well, on social media it got distributed like hell. The press would never report on it because it destroys the narrative.
No, absolutely not.
But the truth got out there, and now Anita Sarkeesian's career is basically dead.
Yeah. Well, it's dead for a different reason. She's not really doing much of anything. People in those circles still hold her in a high regard, but she's really not doing much of
She's not the name she was a few years ago.
Hell no. Oh,
like her like the Feminist Frequency channel is dead.
Oh, it's been dead for a while. But no, she still has her followers. She still gets, you know, thousands of likes and retweets on her inane fucking nonsense. But no, she's more or less just been exposed. But like even beyond that, think of shit like you know, BuzzFeed and their stories about how, you know, something that recently just came up, how Trump directed Michael Cohen to lie to Congress. And then you had fucking Mueller come out and say, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, what the fuck do you do at this point? I mean, somebody needs to get sued.
Well, people are being sued.
Well, the Covington kids are suing, and I'm fucking glad. I'm all for that. But I'm saying somebody really needs to get sued for all this nonsense. Fucking, I wouldn't even call it a knee jerk at this point. I would call it intentionally trying to. Obviously, this is what it is. Intentionally trying to destroy the reputation of the Trump administration and, by extension, the Republican Party.
Yes.
Because why in the fuck else would you publish all of these fucking farcical stories with no fucking regard for whether or not it's true? And then double down when you're called out on it, double down and say, no, we stand by our reporting. Like, fuck that. How many of these stories have come out that went wild? Everyone's like, oh, this is proof positive that shit went down. And it turns out, nope, they're actually nothing burgers.
Yeah, think of all the people who assumed that Christine Blasey Ford was going to destroy Brett Kavanaugh and his chances there. And on top of that, the people that... Remember Michael Avenatti, folks?
Oh, God. Yeah, what happened to him? Where's he at now?
Jail. Hopefully. Because he apparently abused his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Innocent until proven guilty, of course. But,
but
the guy's a sleazeball. So if he is guilty, it wouldn't surprise me in the least.
You don't need a fucking a jury decision to know that he's a goddamn sleazeball.
Yeah. That is self-evident.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So, Leonardo Juan wants to know thoughts on the ISIS girl getting her citizenship revoked, but still getting sympathy from Twitter and the media. She deserves every bit of what she gets.
Yep. You done fucked up.
And you can't come back.
I find it supremely ironic how these are the same sorts of people that will not trust anyone who, ever was a Republican, even if they're turning on Trump, ever was a part of a hate movement or whatever. Even those people that are like working with the SPLC, it's like, oh, I'm a former neo-Nazi, or I'm a former KKK. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't make up for anything, motherfucker. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, you left everything to go, assist a literal fucking terrorist organization, but you regret it and you're sorry, so we should let you back in. That's fine. I mean, no, this is why we need no border. That obviously double standard shit, but of course, without double standards, they'd have none of
none. Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
All right. Thoughts on the Venezuelan government burning supplies sent to relieve their people. Maduro is a dictator.
Yeah.
Socialism is cancer.
Yeah. Fuck him too.
Fuck him too.
Fuck him.
All right. Harville Entertainment says Cortez.
Note that grenade is not directed at supplies.
Yes, exactly. Cortez on Count Farts. We don't want you all to go vegan, but how does she hear herself? Well, you have to keep in mind. This is something I warned about. Now what I had said was a little different. I said, imagine if Anita Sarkeesian or Jonathan McIntosh ran for office in California. I said you would have one of the dumbest people in the world, not only in a public space, not only in a space where they would win, but on top of that, they would have power. And that's fucking frightening. This is no different. This is somebody who has power in the United States, who only got her news from the Young Turks and Secular Talk. She is an open fan of Cenk Uygur and Kyle Kalinske. And to Kyle or Cenk, I don't think you'll ever watch this, but if you do, this is your fault that she's this fucking dumb. You could have been a better program. than what you fucking are. But you're a couple of retards.
She wants to
destroy all cows because they fart.
She wants to put corks in cows' asses.
Oh, God.
She wants to fund corks in cows' asses.
Folks, if you've not read The Green New Deal, find it somewhere. It's hilarious.
Oh my God, no!
Read
the outline. Read the fucking summary that was actually on her website.
Oh God,
that's even better. That's even fucking better.
Yeah, but this is the general issue. Is that that is the thing, and it shouldn't surprise anybody about socialists. Is that when they get power, they get corrupt, and they do whatever they can to force a certain lifestyle on you. They are tyrants. Socialism, as flowery as you can sit here and bullshit to me all day and say not real socialism. Every single proposed socialist inevitably forces something on their constituents. It is a vehicle for dictatorship. Meanwhile, capitalism is a vehicle for cheaper, cool stuff. It won't give you purpose in life, something I have to say, but it will make you money, keeps a roof over your head, keeps your belly full.
And it lets you go from vegan to vegetarian if your budget can't handle it.
Indeed. Not to mention, here in America, we walk our dogs. We don't eat them.
Exactly.
Unless you go to a really bad Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, let's not talk about the one time I had shark fin soup. That was just.
Well, let's move on to the next question then. Matchstick wants to know, what do you think about a bunch of people getting together and having a stream where you make a new constitution? No.
I don't think so.
Doesn't sound entertaining to me. I have been in more than enough big streams to know why, and Hatman can attest to this, to tell you right out of the gate, I don't like them. I hate having more than 3 or 4 people in a conversation because it just becomes a shouting match.
Yeah. And eventually people just be fucking quiet and don't fucking say anything. I've hosted some of these streams, but no, I mean, what would the purpose of this be? I mean, it's not actually trying to enact any sort of change. It's all for hypotheticals.
It's game theory.
I mean,
I don't find game theory that interesting.
Well, it would be interesting to do, but at the end of the day, it's like there's really no purpose other than just.
It doesn't sound like an interesting conversation to me.
It really doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose in my mind, except well, that was something to think about, and that's it.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, basically it. Maybe some entertainment value there, but no, you literally get more entertainment value out of putting them all in the same room together and then having them hash it out. But even then, I don't think so. No, unless it's like an actual constitutional convention, I'm not interested.
All right, Incel Mafioso wants to know, where did victim culture originate from?
Progressive stack.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's always been like bits of it, even before progressivism was as big as it is now. Like Al Sharpton, like things like that. It feeds off of outrage.
No.
And that's why, I swore off of outrage culture at the beginning of the year. I'm like, I'm fucking done with it. I'm going to make arguments when I'm angry. I'm not going to just be like, I am mad, do a thing. There has to be thought to it. It has to be righteous anger. It's something that my old mentor in college always drilled into me. He's like, you're an angry man. But anger is not necessarily a negative. It's how you use it. And he's like, if you have a righteous anger, that should be something you pray for. Is, Lord, give me a righteous anger.
Yeah.
So,
angry with injustice, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That compels people to do good, to make positive changes.
Yeah, but before even the progressive stack became a big thing, it's existed for a long time. But there were race hustlers like Ta-Nehisi Coates, and because Coates has been around for a while, for those who don't know. But Coates before him, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. Look up the Tawana Brawley case. Holy shit. So.
Yeah, but no, progressive stack just basically made it worse because it's suddenly a race to the bottom, or really, it's a race to the top to see whose opinions are more correct. Because the more oppressed you are, the more correct you are, according to that philosophy.
Yes.
I mean, that's why it's not just women anymore. It's women of color, and it's not just women of color. It's like queer women of color, and it's not just queer women of color. It's like disabled queer women of color, and it just keeps going. It's like eventually you're going to get to the one person who is like the single most oppressed being on this fucking planet, and whatever they say is gospel, unless they say something that you don't like, in which case you immediately disregard it as internalized bigotry or whatever the fuck else.
So basically when they vote Republican.
Yeah, basically, yeah, which, again, it's not supposed to make any sense because at its core, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just a race to the fucking bottom. The intellectual bottom.
Yes. Alright. Eclectic 1995 wants to know, do we think there will come a time where more Americans will become more open to consuming bug-based foods like cricket powder? No.
Probably not. As much as you want to change the culture, I don't think so. Like, the idea of cockroach milk alone skis people the fuck out.
Blech.
Yeah. See, you would have to change like the idea around, how we see cockroaches, for example. And we will probably never have any sort of positive opinion about them, period. Same thing for like, spiders and whatnot. I mean, people have phobias of all that shit. And, they're kind of weird. But I don't think so. Like, crickets and whatnot. And on top of that, as someone who actually has consumed insects before, it's really weird. Like, it's crunchy in that, and I hope none of y'all are eating right now, or I hope I'm not making anybody sick right now, but it's kind of like a not good crunch. I don't like chewing on exoskeletons. So, just as someone who has done it before, I don't. It's not for everyone. You'd basically have to be raised in that. That's about the only way I could ever see that happening. But as a cultural thing, no, I don't think so.
Jesus Christ, we need a shame Hatman button.
I have eaten some strange things in my time, but nothing like really, really like way the fuck out there. But no, most of these things were eaten on a bet. So
anyway,
yeah.
Thoughts on Jesse Ventura running as an independent from Sketch Stevens? Please no.
And this is conspiracy theory.
Please no. I've had enough of Jesse Ventura.
I mean, is he even a libertarian anymore?
I don't know what he is. All I know is that with him, unless he's talking wrestling, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. No, just nah. He was governor of Minnesota. That's all we'll give him.
And then, let's see here. A couple good final questions to end this on. Where do we think Ameriskepticism came from? I hope that term becomes a thing. So, Ameriskepticism is an interesting one, because a lot of it I started to see on both the right and the left was during and after the Obama years. And now it's starting to die off on certain sections of the right. I've noticed less people are paying attention to people who are calling for, like, America to have a king and shit like that. You know, it's like nobody cares. Like, shut the fuck up. But there was a thought that among certain circles after the Obama years on whether or not the American experiment had failed. Now, why that existed, I have no idea. Because, if anything, the Trump years have been an example of how the system works when it's actually, you know, being managed by people who know what to do. I've always believed that you can't say that something doesn't work when somebody's using it incorrectly. You know, if you're using a gun to clean your dishes, you don't get to complain about the gun not working. You're using it wrong. That's not what it's for. It's the same thing with the American system. And there has been no other governmental system that has worked as well as ours has. At all in history. And you look around the world, we are the last bastion of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really I don't think there's a debate to be had there. I really don't. But people, for some reason, want to imagine the idea of America being a monarchy or a socialist nation or things like that. It's like, we already know the fucking answer, guys. History tells you what the answer is. But this time it will be different. No, it won't, because humans are still humans. And I think that's generally the issue that happens. Is because people who oftentimes like to do this sort of game theory do not think about the human condition at all. But when you do think about the human condition, you understand that our republic is the greatest governmental system that's ever been devised. Because it accounts for it. It is created as a precursor, as a system that has its own safeguards against tyranny. And when it becomes tyrannical, the country will inevitably fall. And it'll become something completely different. Or it'll start over.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like all the fucking people who have lost their collective shit thinking, you know, Trump is a dictator. Or he's going to somehow seize powers. Like, have some fucking faith in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, what's happened? None of that shit.
Yeah, well, I think of, like, some right-wingers who tried to think that just because the fucking lefty rags were constantly talking about, like, the, you know, being anti-white or whatnot, that like, that's evidence for the world turning against the American experiment or stuff like that. It's like, no, it's just a bunch of fucking rags. Do you really think people believe that shit? Like, no. These are rags that the only reason they're around is because people from New York and Los Angeles read them. And even then, they're starting to fail. Mm-hmm. So. And then King and Scarlet asks our final question. Do we think there will be an American cultural renaissance? Well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think that right now we do have the right elements for one. Because we are, in a sense, a nation that is rediscovering itself. And when that sort of thing happens, it does bring about a new appreciation for things. Whether or not that's actually going to happen, I'm really not sure. I generally think that I don't really remember what the catalyst for the Renaissance was in Italy, aside from the end of the Dark Ages. But usually there is, for great change, there is a catalyst for that. You know, the Bush years are all defined by 9/11. All 100%, and the world changed.
Yeah.
And then the United States started to change again because the Obama years were a reaction to the Bush era. And then after that, the Trump years so far have been a reaction to the Obama era. So I'm not quite sure what could cause it. I would think it would probably be a massive backlash against the left, culturally speaking, which we will have to see how the next few years pan out. I would think with as crazy as the left has been, it's definitely possible. But we'll have to see if enough people kind of get more informed about what's going on.
Now, would you call it more of like an American cultural renaissance, or almost like an Enlightenment renaissance? Because I could see something like the latter happening as more people start to like rediscover, you know, some of the things that the founding fathers wrote, and basically applying those ideologies to modern day America. But a lot of that was based in Enlightenment thinking.
Yeah, it's possible.
I say that would be more likely than anything else, especially since you've already got some of that in the public eye with shit like Hamilton now.
Yeah, or even not just that, but like the popularity of the long form conversation.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that people like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Brett Weinstein and so on and so forth are becoming almost like rock stars, and yet these people discuss philosophy.
Yeah, I mean it's spitting theses, just like back in the day. I mean, you could argue that some of the video essays that are coming out now are the modern equivalents of like the Federalist Papers,
in a sense.
So we might be witnessing it right now.
Yeah, it's hard telling. You know.
Yeah, because you'd have to look at it in hindsight anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I have nothing left to add on that one.
Well, I am all for Washington's farewell speech to be more well known. That shit. If you have not read it, read it. That shit basically warns of everything that has caused division across America's history. In Jesus Christ. God, when did he leave office? 1784? 85? I don't remember, but yeah, obviously long fucking time ago.
All right. Well, that's all we really had for today, guys. Believe it. Well, I say that. We had to record it twice, like over the course of 2 days.
Really.
But you know, we've just had shit going on. Hopefully, this next week we'll be able to be a bit more consistent in it. My back is healing up, so I've got more, you know, energy, which is nice.
1796, by the way. That's when the formal address was published.
There we go. But we are going to take off. Don't forget, come back this weekend. Of course, we will be back with the podcast. And boy, oh boy, are we going to have some crazy shit to talk about.
Holy shit. Just today, when we're recording this, all the Cohen shit that happened.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, to say the least.
Oh, Lord. If not headache-inducing.
Yes. But we're going to go ahead and leave you guys. We appreciate everything. My name is Micah Curtis.
I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hat Man.
See you guys next week. Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.